They loaded the stash into the getaway car and disappeared into the city just before sunrise. A few hours later at 8 a.m., the bank was getting ready to open. One of the workers went to open the vault door, but surprisingly, it didn't move. The lock mechanism was working perfectly, but the door just would not open. As it turned out, just before the crew had left the vault, they had welded the door shut, buying them some extra time. After several hours of confusion, the bank decided to drill their way into the vault, and only then was it obvious what had happened.
Ici la Société Générale.
Nous venons d'être cambriolés. Ne touchez à rien. Nous arrivons. It might seem like the police had a lot of evidence. Equipment had been littered across the vault and in the sewers. Surely something would lead to one of the thieves. But amazingly, not a single fingerprint was found. The crew had worn gloves the entire time. Even the urine came back with no results, since multiple people had urinated in every single bottle. Albert and his crew had thought of everything. But what he didn't know was that the events that would lead to his arrest had already taken place 2 weeks before the heist. Up in the mountains, the police were called to a villa. Normally, this villa was empty, but the neighbor had seen a suspicious group of men constantly leaving and entering the villa. When the police questioned the men, they simply said that they had permission from the owner to use the villa. Something wasn't right, but there was nothing more the police could do, so they took down the names of the men and left. But when the heist later became headline news all over the country, the police officers couldn't shake their suspicion that the villa had something to do with the heist. And so, they got a search warrant and returned to the villa. After 100 days of the investigation leading nowhere, they were about to get their first clue. Inside the villa, the place was full of tools, equipment, and dirty clothes, all identical to those found in the sewers. 2 of the men from the villa, Alain Bernat and Francis Pellegrin, were arrested. And almost immediately, they told the police everything, even naming Albert Spaggiari as the mastermind behind the whole thing. The police were finally getting somewhere. Now, they had to find their biggest target. But Albert was gone. Just a few days after the heist, he fled the country and spent the next 2 months traveling through Guatemala and the US. When he was there, he even made a phone call to the CIA and admitted to being the mastermind behind the heist. He was getting overconfident and eventually returned to Nice and continued living his life. Then, one morning, while having lunch with his wife in a cafe, Albert was approached by the waitress.
Monsieur Spaggiari, il y a une femme à l'extérieur qui souhaiterait vous parler.
Ah, mais qui ça peut bien être?